Making headlines, Vice President says that the public should elect leaders who do not interfere in the name of accountability, calling instead for leaders who can work at the same pace as President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu. Education Minister states that there is no difficulty in recruiting teachers for the new academic year, and a group of 15 Maldivians depart for Australia to undertake specialized training in cyber security and resilience.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. Vice President Hussein Mohammad Latif says that the public should elect leaders who do not interfere in the name of accountability, calling instead for leaders who can work at the same pace as President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu. The Vice President made the remarks while speaking at the opening of the campaign office of People's National Congress or PNC candidate Musa Ali Jalil for the upcoming local council elections. In his address, the Vice President stressed the importance of electing leaders capable of resolving the issues facing the city. He noted that the city has a strong historical background and said the president has been closely involved in its development. He also stated that there are many capable individuals who can support city development and maintain strong working relationships, adding that his vision for the city has already been outlined in his manifesto. The Vice President said the city needs a leader who works at the same pace as the President and added that the PNC is contesting the local council elections with such a candidate. He reiterated that he does not support leaders who interfere under the pretext of accountability, noting that accountability is already ensured through elected representatives and institutions. During his speech, the Vice President also highlighted several issues affecting Malé City. Describing the city as a busy area, he said residents should be able to live in peace and security. Referring to issues such as parking, he said the government is already working to implement solutions and noted that the mayor of Malé City has to be one of the key contributors in this effort. However, he said such progress has not been seen over the past 2 years. The Vice President further stated that the PNC had previously contested elections with the same team, led by the mayor, and emphasized that the country needs leaders who genuinely love the nation. Minister of Education Dr. Ismail Shafiu states that there is no difficulty in recruiting teachers for the new academic year.
The new academic year is scheduled to begin on the January 27th, with the Ministry of Education currently making final preparations. These preparations include the distribution of textbooks to schools, school repair works, and the recruitment of teachers and principals, which has been given special priority. Speaking in an interview with PSM News, Dr. Shafiu said teacher recruitment is carried out in proportion to the number of foreign teachers leaving their posts. He noted that more than 2,000 foreign teachers are currently teaching in the Maldives, with an annual movement of between 100 to 150 teachers. He explained that this movement includes resignations, layoffs, and additional recruitment necessitated by increases in student numbers in schools. The minister said the required number of teachers to cover these changes has already been secured, with additional teachers kept on standby if further needs arise. Dr. Shafiu added that the teacher recruitment process is progressing successfully and that there is currently no difficulty in staffing schools. He also stated that efforts are underway to appoint principals for schools that are currently without them. More than 11,000 teachers are presently working in schools across the Maldives. The government is also working to enhance teacher capacity alongside the launch of a national teacher training program aimed at addressing teacher shortages.
Minister of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure Dr. Abdullah Muttalib says applicants for flats and land will be able to see the points awarded to them immediately after submission, although the information provided will be subject to further verification.
The government has opened applications under the Housing for All policy for its first housing scheme, which includes 15,000 land plots and 7,900 plots in the Greater Male area and Ras Male. Applications are being accepted online through the Hiyawahi portal. The minister said applicants may apply for either flats or land under a scheme of their choice, including individuals who were previously guaranteed housing but missed out on allocations under the Veshifahi and Hiya projects. He urged only eligible individuals to submit applications and advised applicants to verify their eligibility using eFast before applying. The minister stressed that once an application is submitted, it cannot be cancelled, and applicants should therefore take sufficient time to complete the form and upload all required documents. Upon successful submission, applicants will receive confirmation via message and email, including details of the points awarded for their application. The minister said temporary lists of flats and land recipients will be published after the application deadline. He noted the timing of the release will depend on the number of applications received, as verifying the accuracy and validity of submitted information will require time. He further said previous governments since 2008 failed to complete and hand over housing projects, and that the current administration intends to break that pattern. The minister said all housing projects under the current government are fully funded and will be completed within the present term. He added that funding for the projects is being sourced from Bank of Maldives BML, the Government of India, Saudi Aid and other international partners. Speaking on flat allocation, the minister said the government's priority is to provide housing to those most in need. He said the aim is to ensure that by the end of the current term, there will be no Maldivians above the age of 18 without access to their own housing.
Statistics released by the Maldives Blood Service, or MBS, show that Vava Atoll has no registered thalassemia patients in proportion to its population.
According to the data as of January 10th, a total of 650 individuals have been registered on the National Thalassemia Registry. The largest group of patients falls within the 11 to 20 age bracket, accounting for 215 registered individuals, followed by those aged between 21 and 30. The figures also show that 40 new patients were added to the registry over the past 3 years. In 2023, 11 patients were registered, followed by 18 in 2024 and a further 11 in 2025. Atoll-wise data indicates that Nunu Atoll has the highest number of registered thalassemia patients, with 53 individuals across 13 islands, averaging 4 patients per island. Fafu Atoll ranks second with 18 registered individuals, while Lamu Atoll has the third highest number with 43 patients. Meanwhile, Vava Atoll has no recorded thalassemia patients. The atoll with the second lowest number of cases is Mimu Atoll with 3 registered individuals. Thalassemia is a lifelong disorder affecting a significant proportion of the Maldivian population. As a result, national-level measures are being implemented to address the condition. Thalassemia screening programs have been introduced for school children to raise awareness and prevent the spread of the disease. In addition, government assistance is being provided for bone marrow transplants, which are considered a potential cure for beta thalassemia. MBS services have also been relocated to the Orange Hair building in Hurumale to improve access to treatment for patients. A thalassemia prevention and control master plan has also been established as part of ongoing efforts to manage and prevent the disease.
The Election Commission of Maldives, or ECM, states that the internal primary elections held by the 2 largest political parties in the Maldives in preparation for the upcoming local council elections were transparent, democratic, peaceful, and smoothly operated. The Commission said the conduct of these primaries demonstrates the strengthening of the Maldives' multi-party democratic system. The 2 largest political parties, the People's National Congress, or PNC, and the Maldives Democratic Party, or MDP, held highly competitive internal elections ahead of the April local council elections. Commenting on the process, Election Commission member Hassan Zakaria said that as the regulatory body for political parties, parties and an observer of the process, the commission witnessed both parties setting a strong example. He said the internal elections held to nominate candidates for the upcoming local council elections show that internal party democracy is strengthening within the Maldives multi-party system. He added that the elections were conducted in line with democratic principles. The Election Commission further stated that the internal elections held across different parts of the country were conducted in a competitive environment with only minimal issues reported. The Election Commission is currently working to conduct the local council elections and Women's Development Committee elections in April. The Commission has urged political parties and candidates to cooperate to ensure the process is completed safely and within the stipulated time frame. The Election Commission of Maldives, or ECM, reveals it received 779 complaints concerning the registry of eligible voters for the upcoming local council elections.
The Elections Commission said the window to submit complaints to the voters registry closed January 18th at 3 p.m. The opportunity to lodge complaints regarding the register of eligible voters for the local council and Women's Development Committee elections scheduled for April opened on January 7th, while it closed on January 18th. According to the Elections Commission, a total of 779 complaints were received before the deadline. The complaints primarily relate to changes of address, changes of residence, the inclusion of deceased persons, and the removal of names from the registry. The Commission has established the National Elections Complaints Bureau to receive complaints related to the April Local Council and Women's Development Committee elections. The Bureau aims to provide an accessible mechanism for the public to submit electoral complaints and grievances and to ensure they are reviewed and addressed promptly. The Elections Commission said complaints can be submitted via email to the Complaints Bureau or in person at Commission counters. Arrangements were also made for complaint forms to be submitted through designated focal points in cities, atolls and island councils and at focal points abroad.
A group of 15 Maldivians departs for Australia to undertake specialized training in cybersecurity and resilience.
The training program will run from January 19th to February 3rd and will be conducted by Edith Cowan University, ECU, which has received international recognition for its education and research in the field of cybersecurity with the support from President's Office. All costs associated with the program will be covered by the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, with financial support provided through the Australia Awards. The program will be held at Edith Cowan University and at relevant cybersecurity and resilience institutions in Western Australia. Participants will receive training in key areas including advanced cyber governance, digital risk management, incident response coordination, and resilience planning. Prior to departure, participants completed a pre-departure briefing. The briefing was attended online by the Australian Ambassador to the Maldives, David Jessup, National Security Advisor Ibrahim Latif, Lieutenant Colonel and State Minister for Internal Security and Technology Mohammad Kinanath, and a representative from Edith Cowan University. During the session, program objectives, academic modules and engagement opportunities were outlined. The government said the training program represents an important step in advancing the national digitalization agenda under the President's Maldives 2.0 vision.
The government begins the process of seeking a consultancy for the establishment of picnic islands in every atoll of the Maldives.
President Dr. Mohamed Moise announced the decision during a meeting with residents of Mativeri last year, stating that a picnic island would be developed in each atoll of the country. At the time, the president said many island residents had raised concerns over the lack of recreational areas where families could spend time together in certain atolls. He said the initiative aims to address those concerns and confirmed that necessary studies would be carried out to support the project. The Ministry of Social and Family Development, which is overseeing the project, has now announced a call for consultancy services for the Picnic Island Development Project. The ministry said bid registration must be completed through the e-portal by 2 p.m. of January 21st. Bid submissions must be emailed to bid@msfd.gov.mv by 2 p.m. of January 25. The opportunity to submit bids will remain open until 10 a.m. of January 28. the government is giving high priority to improving social well-being in the Maldives, strengthening community bonds, and promoting stronger family relationships. Authorities said the Picnic Island initiative forms part of wider efforts already underway to address challenges faced by island communities and to ease congestion in the Male area.
The Maldives Water and Sewerage Company, or MWSC, is set to begin installing two massive 13,000-ton water storage tanks in Male this month, significantly increasing the city's water storage capacity. MWSC Managing Director Abdul Mateen Mohammed announced the project during an interview on PSM News Rajamio the program, stating that the new tanks, each weighing 13,000 tons, will collectively add 26,000 tons of storage, doubling the city's current capacity. The project, though essential, has faced significant challenges, including land scarcity and safety concerns. The chosen site, a former garbage dump, required extensive redesigns to meet safety standards, causing delays. Mateen emphasized the high-quality U.S.-manufactured materials are being used to ensure durability and minimize service disruptions. This initiative follows MWSC's recent installation of a 10,000-ton tank in Hulmale, the largest in the Maldives, which raised the city's storage to 22,600 tons. The new tanks mark a major step in addressing Male's growing water demands and ensuring long-term supply resilience. European leaders criticizes U.S. President Donald Trump following his vow to implement a wave of increasing tariffs on European allies until the United States is allowed to buy Greenland, escalating a row over the future of Denmark's vast Arctic island. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said additional 10% import tariffs would take effect on the 1st of February on goods from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Finland, and Great Britain, all already subject to tariffs imposed by Trump. Those tariffs would increase to 25% on June 1st and would continue until a deal was reached for the U.S. to purchase Greenland, Trump wrote. The countries named by Trump on Saturday have backed Denmark, warning that the U.S. military seizure of a territory in NATO would collapse the military alliance that Washington leads. European countries and the European Council said they were coordinating on a response to the tariff threat. Officials from Norway, Sweden, France, and Germany reiterated support for Denmark on Saturday and said tariffs would not be part of Greenland discussions. Tariffs undermine prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic and play into the hands of China and Russia, the EU's foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, said in a post on X on Saturday. Kurdish civilians arrive in Syria's Hasaka, fleeing a possible escalation in Tabqa between the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces and Syrian government troops. The Syrian army continued its push into Kurdish-held territory on Saturday, despite U.S. calls to halt its advance in towns in the area in Syria's north. State media said the army took over the northern city of Tabqa and its adjacent dam, as well as the major Freedom Dam, formerly known as the Ba'at, west of the Syrian city of Raqqa. 75-year-old Muhammad Habash said he fled Tabqa out of fear. Syrian Kurdish authorities had not acknowledged their loss of control over those strategic points, and it was unclear if fighting was still ongoing. For days, Syrian troops had amassed around a cluster of villages that lie just west of the winding Euphrates and had called on the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces stationed there to redeploy their forces on the opposite bank of the river. SDF fighters withdrew from the area early on Saturday as a gesture of goodwill, but then accused Syrian troops of violating the agreement by continuing to push further east into towns and oil fields not included in the deal. Hanoi streets were lined with flowers and banners as Vietnam's ruling Communist Party prepares to convene its 14th five-yearly Congress on January 19th to 25th to select its top leaders and set key targets until 2030. Starting Tuesday, about 1,600 delegates representing more than 5 million party members will name around 200 officials to the Central Committee, which then picks the 17 to 19 members of the Politburo, the party's most powerful body, from which the General Secretary is chosen. Shortly after Congress, the Politburo will nominate the President, Prime Minister, and Speaker of Parliament, whose appointments lawmakers must confirm. Vietnam's leadership operates through collective decision-making, ensuring stability in economic and foreign policy since the Doi Moi reforms of the late 1980s, which transformed the war-torn, impoverished nation into one of Asia's fastest-growing economies. Foreign policy has centered on balancing ties with major powers, China, the United States, and Russia, under the so-called bamboo diplomacy. Founded by Ho Chi Minh in 1930, the Communist Party took control of northern Vietnam in 1954 after French colonial rule ended. After the end of the war with the United States and the fall of Saigon in 1975, Vietnam was reunited under the party, which has since ruled unchallenged, allowing no opposition. Third seed Alexander Zverev drops the first set but came back to beat Canada's Gabriel Diallo 6-1, 6-1, 6-4 and 6-2 in early opening day action at the Australian Open. A finalist last year, the German looked rusty early on, but settled in the second set and soon got his big serve booming, firing down 15 aces to move into the second round. British qualifier Arthur Ferry delivered the first upset in the men's singles bracket when he knocked off number 20 seed Flavio Cobolli in straight sets 7-6, 6-4, and 6-1. It's just Ferry's third tour-level win, but two of them have come in Grand Slams. He also pulled a first-round upset of Australia's Alexei Popyrin at Wimbledon last June. Ferry, 23, took advantage of some erratic play from Cobolli, who received multiple visits from medical staff and appeared to be dealing with a stomach issue. Cobolli had 8 double faults to Ferry's 0 and had 38 unforced errors, while his opponent had just 25. In other men's action, number 18 seed Francisco Cerundolo of Argentina did not encounter the same day won issues, coasting a 6-3, 7-6, and 6-3 win over China's Zhijian Zhang. Number 32 seed Corentin Moutet, who also took care of business in straight sets, beating Tristan Skulkate, who was competing in his home country, 6-4, 7-6, and 6-3. In the most thrilling match of the early slate on Sunday, Argentina's Tomas Martin Etcheverry outlasted Serbia's Miomir Kecmanovic in a 5-set marathon 6-2, 3-6, 4-6, 6-3, and 6-4. In the decisive set, Etcheverry finally broke on his 6th breakpoint of an exhausting 20-point game to take a 5-4 lead, serving out the match from there with a love. In the sugarcane fields of Kano in northern Nigeria, Jamilu Usman is keeping alive a 200-year-old family tradition of producing jaggery, a natural sweetener known locally as masakwala, a small-scale operation that contrasts sharply with a country that imports 96% of its sugar. Nigeria consumes around 1.5 million metric tons of sugar annually, with the vast majority imported as raw sugar and refined at 3 major industrial refineries, Dangote, BUA, and Golden Sugar. Brazil dominates as the largest supplier, holding over 97% of Nigeria's raw sugar import market share. Yet in Kano, traditional producers like Usman continue an ancient craft passed down through generations. Usman and his workers harvest mature sugarcane stalks after the rainy season, feeding them through mills that extract the juice. The liquid is then boiled for hours in large drums until it thickens into a dark syrup. The hot syrup is poured into steel molds and left to cool and solidify into blocks. Workers then package the jaggery into cartons, each containing 100 pieces ready for sale. The traditional sweetener has become a profitable export commodity. Retailer Abdul Qasim Zamba said he buys cartons for 30,000 naira or $19 and exports them to Ghana, Chad, Cameroon, and other countries across the region. For local consumers, Jaggery offers an affordable and healthier alternative to refined white sugar. Kano resident Usman Bello uses it to sweeten his tea. While Nigeria's industrial sugar sector relies heavily on imports, spending hundreds of millions of dollars annually, traditional Jaggery production represents a local, sustainable alternative that has quietly endured for centuries, providing livelihoods in rural communities while meeting demand for natural sweeteners in West African markets. And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.